What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Switch Podcast, man. I am your host, Q1. I had to reposition myself. Q1 Humphreys. And y'all see the title of the video, man. Today we're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. Yes. I don't have a nickname for them. But this ain't the grit and grind Grizzlies from back in the day. It's the parade inside my city, Grizzlies of today. So looking at last season with the Memphis Grizzlies, they finished with a 27-55 record, 14th in the Western Conference. Now, if you did not watch basketball last year, you would not know that almost every single key rotational player for the Grizzlies missed significant amount of time. Headlined by Ja Morant, who started the season being suspended for 25 games, and then came back, played 9 games, and then had to get season-ending surgery on his shoulder. Desmond Bane also missed a lot of time. Marcus Smart, a new acquisition coming to last season, missed a lot of time. Excuse me. I think the only player that played majority of the games was Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, Jaren Jackson Jr. by no means is not a bum, but he's not one of those players that can carry you to a playoff spot, that can carry you to a play-in berth. He's not one of those guys. So we saw a lot of young guys. We saw Gigi Jackson. I was very impressed with what I saw from Gigi Jackson last year. Gigi Jackson, second-year player coming into last season. He's a bona fide scorer. And we saw that last season. Vince Williams Jr. also came in and really showed that he belonged in the NBA, with his defense and his three-point shooting as well. But the offseason for this team was kind of weird because they didn't do anything. They are the only team in the NBA that did not make a trade or make a free agency signing in the offseason. But what they did do, they did go out and fill a hole that they needed to fill at the center position when they drafted Zach Edey, big man out of Purdue, with the 9th overall pick. Now, looking at last year's team, I told you about how everybody was injured. But yes, they had the injury bug. But even when they're healthy, they aren't the biggest team in the NBA. They're not the best rebounding team in the NBA. Jaren Jackson Jr. plays their 4, sometimes plays the 5. Is 6'11", 7 foot. He may be 6'10". He's in that 6'10" to 7 foot range. But he's one of the worst big men rebounders in the NBA. So you need somebody that can get down there and just be a guy that can grab the ball off the rim. A guy that can grab a miss, grab an offensive rebound. A guy that can sit in the paint, protect the rim. They had Steven Adams. And Steven Adams in his heyday could do that for you. He could clear some space with his body, clear some space with his strength, and grab some rebounds. But in 2024, he's not that guy anymore. So you go out and get a Zach Edey out of Purdue who's going to do that. He's got touch around the rim. He's mobile for a big guy his size. And he's 7 foot. 7'2", 7'3", I think. So you can't teach 7'3", man. So putting him beside Ja Morant, like imagine a pick. Ja coming bringing the ball down, and then Zach Edey sets a pick for him. That guard's not getting back into play. It's over. Ja Morant coming off a pick is gonna take off to the cup, get past that big. He'll probably hit him with a jab cross, and then go and dunk on him. You know how Ja be getting. But looking at this roster, they bring back Ja Morant. They got Ja Morant, Zach Edey, Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams Jr., like I said, who I think was really good last season, Luke Kennard, Desmond Bane, Derrick Rose, Brandon Clark, John Conchar, Jake LaRavia, Jaren Jackson Jr., Marcus Smart, and Santi Aldama. So I just talked about how they did not make any real moves. They did resign Luke Kennard, but they didn't sign anybody new. They didn't trade for anybody after last season. So what is the front office counting on? They're counting on their guys just getting back and playing together. Because if you look at the last two seasons before this, 2 years ago, the Grizzlies lost in the second round in 6 games to the Golden State Warriors. Last year, or the year before last, they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in 6 games in the first round of playoffs. So you're thinking, okay, first of all, we're young. Second of all, we have playoff experience, so it's only a matter of time before we can make a big run. We just got to get our guys back healthy. And let's let's take a look at how this team is going to look when everyone's there. And let's see how far we go with everyone before we just start to blow it up before we even get a chance to see how good we really are. And that makes sense to me. When you got to start like John Morant, you don't really got to... I don't think you really have to just put everything around him. I think the best way to try to win John Morant is to put guys around him that are gonna fit with him, like a Desmond Bane, a guy that's gonna defend and hit threes, a Marcus Smart, a guy that's gonna defend and hit threes, Jaren Jackson Jr., a guy that's gonna block shots. He's coming off a defensive player of the year a couple of years ago, and he also shoots the ball at a decent clip from the big man position, but they got a bunch of guys around John Morant that are 3-and-D. And John Morant not being the best perimeter defender, you need guys that are going to play defense for him. John Morant not being the best three-point shooter, perimeter shooter, you need guys that are going to hit threes around him to space that floor out, to give him easy driving lanes to get to the basket. And another thing, you give him a big man like Zach Edey, a guy that he can go into the pick and roll with, a guy that can help him create some space with his screens, a guy that he can throw an alley-oop to when he's driving, attracting defenses. I like what the Grizzlies are doing. They didn't do anything, but I like what they got. And until I see that this don't work, I'm going to continue to like it. He also has a veteran in Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose not going to play too much, but he's a guy that's been in the league for a long time. He's been at the very top. He's been at the very bottom. He can tell John Morant about what it takes to be that MVP type guy. So my prediction for next season, I think the Memphis Grizzlies get back to the playoffs. I think they could easily be a top 4, top 5 seed in the Western Conference. I don't see them being in the play-in because the Grizzlies are always really good in the regular season, and I expect them to be really good again next year, especially with them having almost really a full year off. I know the team played last year, but most of the team did not play, so most of that team had a full year off. So they're going to come into next season hungry, ready to go, and really refreshed. Speaking of hunger, I think next year we're going to see John Morant's revenge season. I think we would have got it last season, but he got injured. But the way I see social media, the national media, the public talking about John Morant like he's, or not, not even talking about John Morant. The fact that they're not talking about John Morant, I can tell it has him hungry. It has him hungry. John Morant is a guy that he gritties down the tunnel saying, stay on your side. He want people to stay on that side even more now. I think John Morant, he might be in the MVP talks. Because like I said, I do think the Grizzlies are going to be in the top 4, top 5, maybe even top 3 of the Western Conference in the regular season. And I think a big piece of that is going to be John Morant. John Morant is a showstopper. He's box office, as Stephen A. would say. He's a bona fide superstar. This is a guy that dropped 47 points in a game 2 a couple years ago after his team went down 0-1 against the Golden State Warriors. This is a guy that was suspended 25 games last year. Came back, his first game back on national television against the New Orleans Pelicans, had 30 points, 10 assists, and hit a game winner. I think John Morant is going to remind a lot of folks of how good he is. And remind them that we talk about the future of the league. We say all these names, the Tatums, the Anthony Edwards, the Devin Bookers. John Morant's name needs to be in that hat as well. Because he's just that good and he's just that electrifying. Does he have off-the-court issues he has to handle? Yes. But I just want to talk about him on the court. I just want to talk about him as a basketball player. He is special. And I think he's going to show that next year. Game in and game out. He's got to stay healthy along with the rest of his teammates. But until next time, that's all I got for y'all, man. Swishathon episode 4, man. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Swishathon episode 4, man. Here it is, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share with y'all folks. We got about 12 days to the NBA training camp start, and we got about a month to the NBA season start. So I got to pick things up. I've been procrastinating, but we finna get into it. We out of here. Yeah!